G'day, this is Captainoob, and this is an MP5 submachine gun. This is a personal defense weapon that was developed in Germany. I've already talked about this thing before, so we'll skip all of the real-life details because what you need to know about this MP5, it's support from Call of Duty Cold War, and that includes the animations and sounds as well. It's a pretty much one-to-one recreation of what this thing would be like if it was in a net immerse file instead of whatever model files that they use for the Call of Duty engine. Got a ton of customization and it's about to get crazy, so stand by. Worth noting, this thing is chambered in the 45 caliber rounds, which I believe this thing in real life is just in the standard 9mm rounds, so I'm not really sure what's going on there. Perhaps the 38 rounds would have been a slightly better fit in terms of the size of the bullets, but kind of just nitpicking here. So we'll get straight into the attachments, and we've got the receivers here. The first one is automatic. Gives you 60 damage. We'll just skip a few here. Scroll down to the bottom. Apparently, we've got something called an advanced perfect receiver doing 664 damage. Don't worry about the decrease in fire rate. That is just a visual bug. That's the same fire rate as the standard receiver. We also get a little bit of extra accuracy. And funny enough, the accuracy number is 76. So, yeah. Let's get this elephant out of the room real quick. This is overpowered and it's going to be wiping the floor with everything we pointed at for the rest of the video. So, yeah, okay, this is probably going to be a crazy run. And funnily enough, this thing only requires science rank 4 to craft such a thing, including nuclear material as one of the options or one of the crafting requirements. But if you don't want it to be that good, there's also damage sliders we'll get to later, but something a little bit like the better receiver would be something that is particularly better balanced, I think. And if it turns out that it's too much, then we might go back to the better receiver. But no, screw it. Let's have a submachine gun that does 664 damage. I wouldn't possibly crush everything in the game, leaving no challenge whatsoever. Legendary effect is there if you need it. Something tells me that we probably don't. And we go on to muzzles, which have muzzle brakes, which will reduce your range, but increase your accuracy a little bit. And there's some suppressor options, which give you an extra 25% damage on top of that, because Ace Operator exists. Why wouldn't we do that? 830 damage for a submachine gun? Yes, please. Next up, we've got the sights. Now, we've got a bunch of standard sort of reflex sights that you'd see on the Call of Duty thing, including a 2x scope. Now, it looks like these descriptions are pretty much taken verbatim from Call of Duty, so there's a little bit of fluff here. It's pretty cool. It gives you a little bit of a description of what these things might look like. This is Diamondback, appears to be, it's not quite a Basker, it looked like that, but it's hidden behind some words there. But that's what it looks like, and there's also some extra size. This one here, I believe, is some sort of Russian monocle, reasonable facsimile of, and we've got magazines, which can have a 40-round drum, jungle style, which has 2 magazines taped together. That's kind of cool. A speed loading magazine has got one of those things, allows you to reload faster. You can also have a 50-round drum, extra mag clamps, 50-round drum. You know what? If this thing wasn't incredibly overpowered enough already, we're gonna have a 50-round drum to make the reloads happen even less, so there's even a less of a break between our massive DPS. Now, you can change the handle of this. That just wraps some tape around the grip. All of these have fluffy, colorful things. Read them if you want, but there's not really much going on here. I suspect that's basically going to be just an aesthetic change that you won't be able to see in first person anyway, because your hand would be covering, but don't worry about it. And if you didn't think this thing was crazy enough, you can extend the barrel out to give you even more range, so it'll hold its damage over range. And the longest barrel here gives you 9.5 inches and a little bit of extra damage along with that. Not too much, but enough to, you know, me notice it, because it's got the plus sign next to the damage. But that'll increase our range to way beyond any suppressed rifle thing ever. So, yeah, okay. It just keeps getting better and better. And it's already shifted us to the next attachment point, which includes laser sights or flashlights. Let's make this thing's hipfire accuracy even better. We use the Ember sighting point there. You can actually see that it's being crafted and is on the back of this thing. Interestingly, you're crafting a weapon that's on your back completely behind you, but we won't worry about that. And you got a choice of a couple of foregrips underneath the barrel there. It doesn't look like these are particularly well attached. Maybe you've just thrown some, like, roof silicon there. Don't worry about the fire rate increase. That's probably just a visual bug. We'll just go for a standard foregrip there. As basic as she gets, but I think it'd be just fine. And you can change the stock on this thing, so if you feel like the recoil is a little bit too much, not that it's going to be a lot because it's like a Call of Duty remake, then you can change it. So we'll go for a SAS combat stock because that looks nice and solid and improves movement speed whilst aiming and firing. Whether it does that, I'm not really sure, but it requires science at rank 3, so you know it's going to be good. The Raider stock appears to be even more superior because it's science rank 4, but I've made my choice, and here's where you can de-lower this thing's power down a little bit. So it says here, if you use a vanilla quick reload perk, then equip this add-on. So we're going to appreciate the time that it's taken to make these animations. We'll extend them out a little bit and possibly weaken the giant beast that this MP5 is. We'll abide by that. And if you want, you can increase the damage even further, although it seems to be only a small amount considering we're only getting about 60-ish damage, maybe 70. Maybe go up to plus 100%. But if you feel like it's too much, even down minus 90%, you're still getting 773 damage. So honestly, it's futile to make this thing less powerful at this point without changing the receivers. So we're just going to leave that as nothing. Alright, we're done. And soon the gunners will be as well. And, well, we'll see what happens. So on the mod page, this weapon is supposed to be craftable, but I've noticed that there's no crafting option on the chemistry workbench where you would craft it, and browsing the comments and the creation kit, I have found that the constructible object thing is just not there. So the way we're going to get this is through console commands. Now follow closely if you want to grab this thing for yourself. First of all, you want to search for the weapon and search for the keywords. You know it's called an MP5, so you just type help MP5. That's the weapon's name, space 4, that'll make it so it searches for items the player can hold. Narrow that down even further to weapons by typing WEAP, W-E-A-P, enter. It gives you a code, weapon MP5, that's the one we want, and it also gives you that code that'll we'll be throwing in. So you just type in player, period, dot, add, item, all one word, space, F5, 000, F99, and if we want even more of these, you can type in any number that you want. So if you wanted 3,757 of these, you can do that, but to type in or put 1 or just nothing and you just get yourself 1. And there we go, there's our MP5, happy days. Now we can work on that tan before the sun goes down. Looking good. Okay, welcome to the Immersive Gunners Plaza. This should probably be one of the easiest runs we'll ever do. And here is our MP5 from Cold War Call of Duty in first person, complete with a HK slap just to get the thing going. And this is what the reload speed looks like when we have the minus 50% reload speed. So there's a little bit of reload to sit through there. Looks like we're taking our time with this, which is kind of, well, it's not unfortunate, but if we are needing to reload fast, then it's not going to happen. But funny enough, in third person, when you reload this thing, which is like a normal animation, but it's super slow, it looks like the most lethargic HK slap that I've ever seen. That couldn't have possibly been more unenthusiastic. And I've made a second one, which is basically just there's naked. There's nothing on it except for the jungle magazines because I wanted to see what they did with the reloads here. And you just flip it around and you're ready to go. This thing has the tactical reload thing activated, but whatever it, I mean, it looks like when you empty the magazine, you'll give it a little. There's no HK slap? There isn't. Well, that's weird. Whenever I use the drum version, is there no tactical reload option for the drum? Because that's always getting the HK. Well, I wouldn't call that a slap. I'd call that a gentle nudge, but never mind. Won't stress too much over animation discrepancies. Let's begin. And they're glowing. They're glowing. Okay. I don't know why I don't need stealth. Who needs stealth? Not the MP5 from Call of Duty Cold War, that's for sure. Give me a shot of jet. Let me just kill all these guys. Now, I've got a theory as to why the HK thing is like this. Why the MP5 is like this. Nothing to do with the manufacturer. I have to assume that I don't know whether it's balanced for this particular difficulty where I'm only receiving half the damage. Not that it's going to matter anyway. That's an adequate sort of description of how this weapon is performing at the moment. It just blows them halfway to the moon. But I'm thinking this is supposed to feel like a proper Call of Duty weapon where the time to kill is so fast in Call of Duty that I could feasibly mow down a bunch of dudes like that in Call of Duty. A little bit like that. We're actually going in a nerd rage at the moment. There's not a lot of mod guns that I've used that will allow me just to sit in front of the gunners, and therefore, obviously, they're getting a lot of headshots because that's what's poking out of the, out from the back. It's eating through the sand. Like, 9mm bullets, I don't know if this is chambered in 45, but 9mm bullets, you probably wouldn't expect to just obliterate, disintegrate things like that. And now we're really pissed off. That grenade being thrown, that was the last straw, but I think that's about it for the suppressed version. We'll go with the standard Jungle Magazine version as we completely wasted Nerd Rage on absolutely nothing, but whatever. Doesn't really matter either way, I don't think. And there we go, we'll reload that. And what else is there to say about this thing? It's going to crush everything I pointed at. Perhaps the inaccuracy and player... Oh, that's a grenade launcher. That's what that was. Okay, I'm glad that thing wasn't shot at me because that would have caused several problems. Alright. We've got a pretty good... whoops. Didn't mean to fall down from there. We've got a pretty good vantage point to take out these gunners over there. Even these ones weren't quite finished yet. You're knocked in Warzone. You get exploded bloody mess style as someone runs around with an MP5. Actually, I don't even think... They didn't have Warzone for Call of Duty Cold War, did they? I don't know. I've never been a player of Call of Duty ever. I've lived vicariously through it through COD ports. That's probably about the closest to Call of Duty I've gotten. I even bought that free, like, Warzone thing, right? I bought a free thing. No, I downloaded it, I opened the menu and thought, nah. I was gonna play it with someone else, but it was taking up too much valuable space and Redfall was around. So, you know, something had to give and it was the Call of Duty game that I didn't play. I've seen what happens with Call of Duty. They added some really weird... Just really weird decisions for who they're going to make operators. It's kind of silly. Expect that in Fortnite where it doesn't take itself so super seriously. But Call of Duty, I don't know. Anyways, the ports from that game are sufficiently powerful. I'm not going to complain that it's overpowered because it's up to the player if they want to choose this receiver. Going the second receiver down seems a much better option if you want to play this game with any longevity at all, because if you're just crushing and rolling over everything like that, you're not going to get... Well, you're going to get bored quickly because there's no challenge, and part of the fun comes from the challenge of games, you know? It's why I played Killzone 2 on Elite. That shit was hard, but it felt like an accomplishment beating it, man, I tell you that much, but... We won't be getting it here, so maybe like a fun steamroller thing, but I think it'd get old pretty quickly, so lower the damage down if you want to play around with this thing, that's my recommendation. But if you're a sucker for big damage numbers, then you're in the right place, because it's time to use this stealthily. Alright, so we've got that Super Mutant highlighted for once. He gets one-shotted, and is there any friends for Swan today? Probably not. Oh, he goes down. Wasn't even half of a magazine before he dropped. Okay, we didn't see the health bar though, so we'll try again, different monster, but we'll vats him. Alright, hopefully the ghoul doesn't find the insects down there too interesting today, so I can sit back and kill him from here. Can I one-shot this guy with a crit? No, not quite. Vats kind of lied to me there, but I don't think it's going to matter all that much. It certainly does not. You can stop the intense music now. I think the fight's over. I feel like that mantis took more bullets than what that ghoul did just now. And you know what? For a weapon like this, I've got one place where I want to take it, because that Mr. what's he called? That blood bug boss creature thing, I'm gonna go kick his ass. Alright, before we take on the giant blood bug, we've got the entree. We don't need to top up the magazine for this. I feel like we'll be just fine. But I will mention that another quirk of the Warfighter Workshop arsenal is that the bash damage, like Call of Duty, is fairly lethal. So if we sneak up on this feral ghoul here, bam, that's him mutated in a couple of easy swipes there, and looks like Tactical has actually joined this particular group. We'll use him as a test subject for our bash damage. It's pretty strong, don't you think? Anyways, with that out of the way, we're on to the next things, and these are all just basic bugs. We'll take them out, clear out the field, gain that adrenaline damage. No, just kidding. Just dial in the aim a little bit, and now that there bastard, oh, he's dead. Yeah, may as well just have a casual reload there. That's fine. He's just completely destroyed it in like 2 seconds. And look, that's gonna be kind of what it does. So unless you feel like not using this thing in its completely overpowered form, then, well, just steamrolling everything. Even these bosses, which I would consider that Vampiric Bloodbug boss to be one of the hardest things to fight. We could just drop him in like 2 seconds, even less than that. So, the word overpowered, it comes to mind. I've said this before, but again, it's a thing that the player can opt into. It's not like this thing defaults to like 500 damage. It's just up to the player to exercise a little restraint in terms of the damage numbers if they feel like it, I suppose. Honestly, wielding power like this, it's, how do I describe it? Maybe we'll say it's irresponsible. Now, there's a big story about having an item that's super powerful and you want to cast it away so it'll like destroy like a demon man or something. It involves like fires of Mount Doom. Now, in Fallout 4, we don't have Mount Doom, but we've got that, and I'm thinking that'll probably be able to destroy an MP5. So, before we leave today, I think we'll just cast these into the fires of Mount not Doom, Mount Quake. That's a Bethesda property, isn't it? And we'll be on our way. There we go. Like somewhere, some SMG evil Doom Lord has lost his power and go and kick his ass. I don't know. I've never watched it. So that there was the Call of Duty Cold War MP5, and I'm aware that there's a Warzone. I went and looked it up on the internet, and it's chambered in 9mm Parabellum, which is not 45 ACP, so yeah, naughty. Waggling my finger at you, you can't see I don't use a face cam, but I am. So what do I think about this? It's a high quality port as always. Everything's done really well. Animations are great. The power of it is where it sort of goes off the rails a little bit. Normally I'm complaining about things not being able to do enough damage to be utilized in very hard difficulty where you get half your damage taken out, but this thing, it's just the other way around. It's just so strong that it's beyond comprehension. I don't know exactly what the direction was for it, or just whether it's just an earlier version where the numbers have been tweaked for some different mod that I don't have installed right now where enemy health pools are up in the thousands. I'm not really sure, but if you feel like this thing's too overpowered or too gimmicky, there's plenty of other MP5 mods for you to choose from, so check out those things. Just type it in your search bar and you'll get like 10 of them. But it's worth checking out if you are attached to this thing in Call of Duty and would like to see it in your game. Just be wary about picking the damage numbers too high. It might suck the fun out of Fallout 4 and you have to go back and play Fallout 76, which is just a horrible fate for anyone. Anyways, with that, thank you very much for watching. See you later. Bye.